Dude, I will knock you out right now on camera.
And I want to thank you all personally for coming to our From Campus to Service and Back event. We're going to get our guest speaker today, our very own ENMU alumni, Lars Pottle, to speak today, who is a senior airman currently in the U.S. Air Force. He's going to share his journey through a non-traditional path through college while serving. So please join me in giving a warm welcome to Lars Pottle.
How's it going, everyone? Like I said, I'm Lars Pottle. I'm a senior airman at the United States Air National Guard here in New Mexico. I've been in the Air Guard for just a little over 4.5 years now. So my journey started out when I graduated from high school in 2020, and I immediately came here to ENMU, where I stayed with my sister. From there, I went to school for about a year until I joined the Air National Guard. I was waiting on certain paperwork to go through before I could join. In 2021, Friday the 13th, I joined. And when you join in the Air National Guard, you gotta get put in a holding. It's called student flight, where you just kind of wait until they get you dates to whether it's your basic training or your tech school, depending on if you're pipelined or not. So I waited for like 6 months until I went to my basic training. So during that time, I was still going to school while I would still do my weekend drill in Albuquerque, which is where I was stationed and currently is at Kirtland. And I went to basic training in April. So I had to cut my semester in half. I had to drop some classes or get certain paperwork done to get out of them. I went from April to May, my basic training. And then from the end of May till about September, I went to my tech school. It's still pipelined, so I still wasn't going to school. I got back end of September and started my mess days. Mess days is just like an on-the-job training that you do when you come back from your tech school. You usually do that for a couple months, just kind of depending on your AFSC. Mine was only for a month because we were coming up to the end of the fiscal year, so they cut my orders. So I only got to do that for a month, but that was okay. So in October 2022, I still didn't come back to school because it was over halfway of the semester. I really couldn't get into any classes. So I just kind of rode the rest of that year out. I was going to pick that back up in 2023 of spring, but I did not because we were getting no deployment, and pre-deployment training started in February. So to take some classes to only get a month and a half through and then have to drop them was not going to help me. So I still didn't go back to school. I went to my pre-deployment training from February to March up in El Paso, Texas. And then from April to October 2023, there, I was hand selected to go to Saudi Arabia for a forward deployment. I can tell you more all about that if you'd like to hear about those. When I got back late October 2020, or October 27th, again, still didn't end up coming back to school. So I rode the rest of that year out. 24, and then ended up graduating in fall 2025. So started school, went to the military, did some stuff, then came back and finished it out. So just kind of don't have that discipline, you're gonna fall behind. So
with all this discipline, do you see yourself going into a graduate program to
no.
increase your apprenticeship?
No, not at this time. Not at this time, no. My discipline does not for that, no. But when I do apply for my MBA, yes, my discipline will come back into that. But discipline is not something I turn on or off, so.
Always on.
It's always on. Anything else? You guys have any questions?
What countries have you been to?
So when I was deployed to Qatar, I went on a forward deployment to Saudi Arabia. And I was there for a week and a half on the potential that an aircraft would land and that it would need to be secured, that no one would be near it and whatnot. Other than that, though, like I've flown over tons of countries. Like we went to Iran. We were on a 6-hour mission waiting to go home from Saudi Arabia. And that was the only ticket home, was to fly with AKC. They were a tanker and they were doing refueling missions. If we didn't go home with them, we weren't going home. So we didn't really go to Iran, but we were above Iran. We hung out there for about 6 hours. Other than that, I haven't been anywhere else yet. Yeah, it's a very beautiful country. Doha is very beautiful. I didn't go to Dubai. That was a little further, but Doha is a beautiful city, especially at night when all their towers light up. Any other questions? Things I might have done?
With the conflict going on with Iran, do you see yourself or your unit going over there and taking part of it? Yes.
So I didn't mention this. So in the National Guard, I'm security forces. So I'm military police. I'm the infantry, I guess, if you will, of the Air Force. So I'm the one who shoots all the guns, does all the cool convoys, secures everything. When anything happens, while everyone's running away from the fight, I'm running towards it. I run towards the gunfire. I run towards the danger. Yes, so I do. There is word that we may be going. My unit is slotted to deploy soon. Don't know when. Those numbers have not been given to me. That's out of my need to know right now. So my job is just to be ready to go when they say jump.
When going through basic training, do you have access to a gym, or is it just like
No.
workout gym? No. Just like
Not basic training. In basic training, you're doing it's all body weight. I didn't touch any kind of weights at all in basic training. Everything was body weight, push-ups, sit-ups, pull-ups. I mean, you name it. It wasn't until I got to tech school that we had more freedom to go to the gym, start lifting weights after the duty hours.
Question. So that's your dad, correct?
Correct. That is my dad.
He was Army?
Yes. So I do come from, I don't have their pictures, but I do come from a longer line of military. I've had family from World War I, World War II, great-grandparents, great-great-grandparents, I guess, and like great-great-uncles. But right now, my dad in the middle, he's currently in the Army. He's still currently serving. And my brother is on the right. He's currently serving in the Marines. So I'm the oldest of 4. So we do have quite the military family going on right now.
That being said, why did you choose the Air Force?
I chose the Air Force because here in New Mexico, we have an Air Force base. So it was a lot easier to get in touch with them. But I'm adopted. So I have an older sister who is in the Air Force. And when I was looking at joining the military, because that's all I've ever wanted to do, she heavily pushed me to be in the Air Force, that they take better care of their service members while in and after compared to the other branches. So joining the Air Force was for me, but I've also wanted to fly. I'm currently in the process of trying to commission. So going from the National Guard to active duty, but being a pilot. So with that, the Air Force, while the Army does have aircraft, they do not have the aircraft that I would like to fly. So the Air Force was the choice for me.
how was the third during basic training?
It was edible. It was edible. Where I was when I went to basic training was called Alcatraz, much older rundown buildings. And they had these newer buildings that they called Disneyland. The showers were nicer, the rooms were bigger, just everything about the building was way better. Mine looked like it was falling apart. And the word was that, like, if you were in the older buildings, your food tasted way better because the cooks were better. If you were in the newer buildings, your food was not that good. The cooks were new. So I wouldn't say the food was all that bad. Breakfast was by far my favorite because you can't mess up pancakes. But everything else, when it came down to like the chicken or steak, there was just no seasoning. It is just the meat. So
It was ran by Sodexo still, correct?
I have no idea who it was run by. It might have been Sodexo, but I don't know who it was run by.
So eating here was the same.
Yeah. Yeah, only difference is I can walk freely in here. I couldn't walk freely over there. Anything else? Can tell you guys a little bit about. So I guess some of my more like recent trainings that I've gone to. I currently went to NGRF, his National Guard Response Force. My unit is Tier 1. What that means is that if any riots or anything like that break out here within the state of New Mexico, or if any other state requests help, my unit is the first one who gets that phone call. With just the rise with everything that's been going on right now, if you've been watching the news, there's just a lot of heat. There's a lot of things that are going on. So my unit is constantly on standby to prepare to move out, I guess, if you will, to any kind of riots or anything that happens. This last training I went to, all we did was we learned how to control crowds using riot shields, how to correctly use riot shields, and how to employ other non-lethals, because we're not there to hurt them. We're just there to control the situation. Any other questions? Anything you guys would like to know?
Can you touch up on, you said you're trying to be a fighter pilot, correct?
Yes.
And that requires you being an officer?
Yes. So, like I said, so I'm trying to be a fighter pilot. Specifically, I'm trying to be a multi-engine. I don't want to fly the F-16 as that is a single engine. I have don't really have a huge interest in flying that. I'd like to fly the F-22 Raptor or the F-15, kind of any variants of the F-15. But at the end of the day, I do just want to fly anything. Being a fighter pilot takes a lot of physical aspects. It is a very tough program to get into. And depending on how I do, whenever I go to the training, will put me in a like first to last. And if you're first, you get first pick of your airframe. So depending on how quickly those slots fill up, we'll decide what airframe I can get. I'm currently still talking with my recruiter. There's just a lot of paperwork I have to get done, being prior service, going from the, I guess, prior service National Guard to active duty. There's a lot of forms I got to get filled out, a lot of commanders I get to talk with. So I will say, though, I would not have waited to go in the National Guard after college. I would have still done it the same way. Anyone even thinking about going National Guard, it's a great way to get your feet wet in the military. Yes, I did deploy. It happens. Not every unit deploys. There are certain units who do what's called an in-house deployment. They just get stuck at their base here in the U.S. They don't actually go out of country. But I would recommend it to anyone who's young, thinking about getting in. My contract is 6 years with the National Guard, but I plan on doing this for a full 20, so that doesn't matter for me. But I would recommend it to anybody just thinking about the military. There's even the Army National Guard. So if you wanted to do Army, there's the Army National Guard. Most branches, the Marines have a reserve component, so you can do that as well. The only difference between like reserve and National Guard is that reserve is federal, where National Guard is state. So I get called for state emergencies, whether it's floods, fires. Right now we have Operation Zia Shield, where a lot of people from my unit are out there just helping the police force. They're just doing their office job so that they can go out back to the streets and keep all those neighborhoods safe. So it's a great way to just kind of introduce yourself to the military life.
What skills did you gain from getting the National Guard, or the Air Force? What did you gain from being those, I guess, sectors of the military?
So the skills that I've learned, so I'll talk a big one on like discipline. It's a huge thing to me. I think it helps everyone in their life if you have a really good discipline, because it'll keep you on track for what you want, because you'll stay with that goal. you'll do what needs to be done to get to where you want to be. Other skills I've learned, so like I said, I went to ALS, and it's a great course that you need to become a staff sergeant. It's required, but it's a leadership course. It teaches you how to interact with different people. When you have two different, soldiers or airmen, and they might have learned different or they react to certain things, how to tailor to that, because not everybody responds to the same attitude, I guess, if you will. So just knowing how to talk to different people is a big one. Any other questions?
You said Alcatraz, where is that at?
It's Lackland. It's just what they call those dorms is called Alcatraz. And then like the newer buildings, it's just called Disneyland. But each of the buildings has like their own like unit. So I was an Eagle. I was the 322nd 322nd Eagles. They've got like the warthogs, lizards, or chickens, whatever they might be. But just the newer buildings, we call them Disneyland, and the older buildings were called Alcatraz. Just because they looked like it. They looked like a prison, where the newer buildings don't look so scary. Any other questions?
I'm sorry, my you said like, I don't know, all branches, and you said like Air Force and you favorite the most, or was it the National Guard?
Say again?
Which branch did you like favor the most?
Oh, I'm biased. I favor the Air Force. Yeah. Just because, but like when I was here, we have an Air Force base. We have Cannon, there's Kirtland. So just I had easier access to that. There's not an Army base near here, a Marine base. We're not near the ocean, so. Yeah, I would say it does. Yeah. So in the Air Force, there's a CCAF. It's an associate's degree that you can get through the Air Force. You take certain classes, you can CLEP them. They're just all of your prereqs. But since I had already gone a year with Eastern before joining, when I went to the Air Force, all I had to do was get those transcripts from Eastern over there, and I was able to get my CCAF a lot quicker. I didn't have to go and CLEP courses. I didn't have to go and retake courses that I've already taken here at ENMU. So that was a huge help. It just looks good though. When you're in the Air Force, they want to see you developing yourself. So going to school is a huge thing to them. The Air Force values education more than any of the other branches by far. So them seeing that you're going to a university or just going to school in general means a lot to them. So you get awards quicker. Whenever you're building like your award packages, you can put that down. They want to see that you're still trying to develop yourself. So yeah, going to school at the same time is definitely a huge bonus.
I think also that. So when you had like school going on, but you were in the Air Force, if you had like a field training exercise, where you had college work due during the exercise, how did the Air Force handle that? Because in the Marines, you had a field exercise for a week long, but you had college on top of that. The Marines would tell us to like go kick rocks and do the field off and kind of sit without classes.
So it is the same. I have throughout my years, we have exercises that are a week long. The only thing though is like being in the Guard though, they usually try to plan them in the summer. So when you're normally you wouldn't be going to school unless you were taking summer courses. I do have an exercise myself coming up in 2 weeks, but I'm not in school currently. But when we would have like those week long, you're gonna have to try to figure it out. We would still be required to go unless they were ones that I volunteered for. I could back out of it. Doesn't look good on paper because like you're backing out of it, you volunteered for it. But if it's one of those ones that's required, it's a field training. We have them all the time. You have to go. If you've got school, you find a way. You're you're not going to be out there 24/7. You do get to go home at some point, or do, at least in the Air Force, we would go back to wherever we're staying, whether it's the hotels or the dorms, and you would do your homework then. I would communicate with my professors like, hey, I'm having this training going on. I can show you the orders. I can get you in touch with whoever you need to, and just let you know, hey, can I get an extension? Is there any way you can give me a little bit of leeway? I've got this training. It's going to be a long one. I'm going to have long hours and not a lot of downtime. Most of the professors here have worked with me. It wasn't often that I would see someone not work with me and be like, yeah, I can get you an extension, or we can try to just excuse that. So yeah, that was a huge thing, is that Eastern has definitely helped with that. It's not been once or twice. It's been a handful of times where I go out for a training. I still have schoolwork that has to get done, but so does the training. So one way or another, you're getting it done. So just having good communication with not only your leadership, letting them know that, hey, like, you are in school, because sometimes they would even let me out early. Hey, you need to go home and do homework. Go crazy. Go home and get your homework done. But just communicating with all of your professors, hey, I've got this going on. Can you help me out? Anything else? Any other advice I can give you guys? I can't think of anything else.
So a lot of college students, when they go to college, a lot of them don't have a direction with what they're doing with their degree, right? So a lot of them get, let's say, bachelor's degree, but they graduate and they don't do the job that they studied for. Would you ever recommend somebody in that position to think about taking the officer route in the military?
Yeah. So to commission, you just need a bachelor's degree. It doesn't have to be anything specific to what you're doing in the Air Force. So if your bachelor's degree is in criminal justice and you're struggling to use that on the civilian side, you can absolutely go and just commission and be an officer. You go be a finance officer. You can be a safety officer. Your bachelor's degree, they just need to see that you have completed a 4-year degree. Like, my degree is in aviation science. It just happens to be I want to be a pilot. I just liked aviation science better, but you don't need an aviation science or anything aviation to be a pilot. You could have a math degree, criminal justice degree, but you can go be an officer for just about anything. And yeah, if you're not sure where to go, and even doing it active duty, you can do just, your 4 or 6 year contract, do that, get you some discipline if you don't already have it, learn some skills from the military, get out, and then go do something. If there's something you want to do on the civilian side, your criminal justice degree isn't working, you can go do security forces, which is what I do. It's a military cop. You can go do investigations and get all these trainings, and then when you get out from your 4-6 years, you can take that and you'll more likely get accepted somewhere, because they're going to see that you have this training that you got from the military and that you already know what to do. So yeah, just to even get you started, you can still get, even just doing the National Guard, like I said, you can be an officer in the National Guard too. Just, I wanted to do this full time now that I'm done with school. I did the National Guard because I still wanted to complete my schooling. Anything else?
Hey, I want to thank everybody for showing up today. I really appreciate y'all for pulling up. Before y'all leave, if you don't mind signing in and scanning that QR